While we were selecting our strategic country in Asia, our main focus was security in market entry and expansion. Here, what we mean by the secure market is the profitable market sector where customers can afford our products, where customers fit to our products both economically and culturally. And we believe South Korea is the one. TTI should solidify its market presence in existing South Korean market by building long-term customer relationship. Now, the next presenter, Seung-pyo, will continue by showing the key decision process and priorities.
Thank you, Juan. This is our key decision-making process, and we arrived at the conclusion to solidify our presence in the South Korean industrial power equipment market. The first decision we had to make was to whether we should enter totally new markets or focus on existing markets where we already have some market presence in. TTI should expand its presence in existing countries due to cost and time efficiency and the fit with our corporate culture. It is extremely costly to enter totally new markets, but it's easier to launch different strategies where offices already exist. And focusing on existing markets also fit our corporate culture, which is quite conservative. Although TTI has been very innovative in its products, it has been very cautious in selective regional expansion and M&A. And it also has a higher weight of cash and current assets out of total assets compared to its main customers, competitors. And since TTI emphasizes its importance of corporate culture, considering these attributes will be beneficial for the company. Now that we have decided to enter the existing markets, TTI should focus on the power equipment business because the floor care and appliances business is a less attractive market to go into. The floor care industry is already fragmented and full of competitors, all with their own differentiation points. And consumers of power equipment benefit from the company's amazing network platform, but the value added to floor appliances are relatively lower. Within the power equipment business, TTI should mainly target the industrial customers because in Asian markets, there is an absence of certain lifestyles. First of all, there's a lack of DIY culture in Asian markets, and most consumers prefer hiring professionals for home improvement. Moreover, 2/3 of power equipment demand came from industrial customers. So the most suitable market in Asia right now is South Korea. These 7 Asian countries are where TTI is currently in. Our first criterion, customers fit. The countries that fall under this criterion are developed countries because the customers in these markets are the ones who would be willing to buy our products that emphasize safety and productivity at a premium price. We selected these developed countries based on 3 sub-criteria, and South Korea, Hong Kong, and Taiwan became our first round candidates. Our second criteria, construction industry size and opportunity, indicates that South Korea is more attractive than Hong Kong and Taiwan. Not only does it have a bigger market size, most South Korean construction companies control a lot of overseas contracts. By targeting these companies, TTI can even capture the opportunities outside the country. So under our big strategic decision to enter a secure market, again, which is customers fit and profitability, TTI should expand its presence in the South Korean industrial power equipment market. Our next presenter, Jung-soo, will go into strategic details.
Thank you, Seung-pyo. Now we looked into the South Korean market. We currently have strategies adopted that is highly localized into the South Korean market. We have our job site team visit, we have our local office, and we also have hired a Korean manager. Our main competitors in the market are Keyang and Bosch. Keyang, which is a domestic company, has been successful in the market through localization and customization, as well as a superior after-service system. Bosch which entered the Korean market in 1985, has been able to build a strong brand identity during the past 30 years. And also with its efficient and westernized management system, has been able to enjoy competitive advantage in the market. On the other hand, the market share of TTI, which is only 4 years old in the Korean market, is about 2.4%, which clearly shows that we still have a lot of growth opportunity in this market. So what opportunities can we capture inside this market? First, we thought that the construction industry structure in Korea is highly favorable for TTI. 72% of the total amount of construction industry in Korea relies on the top 10 construction companies, which means that if TTI is able to make contracts with one or several of these top 10 companies, we can experience a dramatic increase in our market share. Also, Korean construction companies not only have domestic demands, but also have overseas contracts, which marked $600 billion in 2013. Upon all these opportunities that we have, we also face some points of consideration. First is the barriers to entry. The switching cost of industrial power tools are relatively high. Also, we should think about the cultural characteristics in the South Korean market. First is high context culture. Personal relationships, conversations, daily life chats are very important when making contracts. And also, Korea has a very hierarchical company structure, which means that our actual end user and the actual buyers, who tend to be management, has a high gap in between. So it is important to prove numerically about our effects to the management when reporting. So considering all the analysis of the South Korean market, we came up with 4 strategies that TTI should adopt in order to solidify its market presence in South Korea. Our first strategical proposal is to provide a consulting service to construction companies in Korea. By doing this, we could both give values to our customers and also obtain values from our customers. By numerically presenting how much cost reduction effect would happen, we could not only visually prove our effectiveness, but also we could easily persuade the management level. Also, by providing product recommendation services, we want to maintain long-term customer relationship with our clients. Also, through constant and active feedback system with our customers, we can get new product development ideas, as well as localizing effectively into the Korean market, which are the values that we can get from our customers. Yes.
Question would be, or is, would you go directly to the building companies? Would you go to distributors? Would you sell building companies directly? Would you form a relationship with a distributor who would sell to the building company? How would you do that?
We suggest just directly selling to the construction companies, because what we found out in the construction industry inside Korea is they do not have a long-term contract with their distributors. So Bosch and Keyang also was directly selling to the construction companies.
Okay. So if you work, what about all the other potential opportunities? Smaller contractors that are out there in the market today, a guy who's a plumber or an electrician that does the work himself, or the general contractor has 5 or 10 people who work for him, and not the big company like Samsung, but the much smaller individual. How would you address those, or are you saying don't focus on them?
Are you questioning about our client?
If you go directly to big companies like Lotte or Samsung, how are you going to be able to address or get tools into the hands of the individual contractor, the contractor that may have 5 people who work for him? Are you saying that we should not focus on the smaller contractors, we should only focus on the big contracting firms? Because it's easy to go Samsung, of course, and I can convince Samsung, I think you should buy our tools. Our tools are really good, productivity is great. But there's also a very large amount of small contractors, 1 person, 5 people crews. And if I go to the big firms, I'm not focusing on the smaller contractors. Is that what you're suggesting?
Our suggestion is to prioritize on the big companies first, because as we are trying to have a stronger presence in Korea, we believe that we are not suggesting not to deal with these smaller contractors, but we should prioritize in the bigger companies so that this would allow us to have a more bigger influence in the Korean industry.
Impact versus activity. More impact with less activity. Yeah, I mean, what you're saying is it's easy to go and deal with a big, large contracting firm because the scale is much larger.
Yeah. Moving on. So what we suggest is servitization.
Sorry, I've got another question. You mentioned Kayang before. I don't know much about the Korean market, but I understand that it's a market where if they have a self-service option, a Korean option, if you will, often that will be preferential. So how do you recommend that TTI kind of overcome that barrier and be seen as a local brand, so to speak?
What we found out was that actually there is not much propensity towards a domestic brand. So I mentioned before that the main competitors are Kayang and Bosch. Kayang, which is a domestic brand, has had a market share of about 70%. But as Bosch has proved that their products are more efficient, they catched up about 35% of the whole market share, and Kayang has 35% of the market share right now. So what we suggest is servitization. Servitization means an integrated form of customer satisfaction, not only providing products but also services related to the product, and thereby we expect to sustain and create synergy effects. IBM, which started off as a computer server hardware company, also decided to provide consulting services, business solution services to its customers, and created synergy effects. So what we suggest TTI to do is just as what IBM did, not only provide power equipment to our customers, but also by providing total consulting services, we expect to create synergy effects. Our second strategic proposal is to provide a trial version of our products to our customers.
Sorry, can you be more specific about consulting services? Yeah, because consulting services can be everything, like, you should be using our tools, or you have a project and how you use our tools to be more efficient and cost effective and the like. So it's a totally different know-how. So how does it blend into like TTI's core competence?
Well, we assumed that TTI's tools are highly innovative and convenient for users. And we want to provide how cost-effective this is to their company in the long term. Well, there might be switching costs at first, but we want to prove that this will give cost reduction effects in the long term, and also product recommendation systems.
So in a way, we need to set up another group of talent, to provide consulting services,
Yes.
which is, you mentioned at the very beginning, we are a conservative company, so which is slightly different, from our core strategy.
We will mention the exact cost, expected cost in the financial section, but to briefly introduce, we need some experts to consult those companies, but we did not think that would be a huge cost to our company. So our second strategy is to provide trial version of power equipment to our customers. Our basic idea is to provide free trial of new products during a limited amount of time to our potential customers, and we believe that this will enhance trust with our customers. Free trial demonstrates that TTI is highly confident with our products, and also this could deliver sincerity of our brand. Overall, we want to build a long-term trust with our customers. Our third strategy is about personnel management. Currently, there are 30 workers in the Korean TTI office, and men overweigh women, which could cause several problems. So, so we suggest to hire more people, especially in the after-service and job site visit team sector. We want to hire more professionals in order to provide a real-time after-service system. And also, by increasing the number of members in the job site visit team, we want to have a more aggressive approach in our marketing. Our last strategy is to conduct a campaign emphasizing on safety and productivity of our products. And by doing this, we believe that we could form a strong brand identity. Bosch, in the Korean market, conducted a safety campaign, and what they did was to send safety management education team to real construction sites. And they managed to increase their brand identity of safety and health through this campaign. We suggest TTI to conduct campaigns emphasizing on the safety and productivity that we could give, and also by letting our end users actually feel and experience the values that we could give to them, we believe that we could enhance our brand identity in the market. Now our next presenter, Jae-hoon, will move on to the financials.
Thank you. Our financial expectation is based on 3 different scenarios. First scenario, the best one, assumes that TTI will be able to reach the growth rate of 80% annually, and average scenario assumes 65%, with the worst scenario 50%. Although you may think that the growth rate is high, we believe that the growth rate is a feasible figure that we could take in the South Korea power tool industry for several reasons. First of all, as we have mentioned, TTI has a very high potential in the South Korea power tool industry. It has a relatively low market share. However, we have innovative, excellent products that we could reach the power tool industry in the Korea. In addition, we actually have seen a great success. From 2013 to 2014, our sales have more than doubled. This means that we could actually take this pace as the growth rate, so we believe that is a feasible strategy. And with the best scenario, Korea could increase the annual sales up to $120 million by 2019. However, as we are suggesting different strategies, we also have to look at the cost side. We have broken down the revenue into different parts to demonstrate how it will look like. First of all, as we are suggesting about having after service, employing more personals, we believe that their selling, general, and administrative expenses will account for about 25%. This number is from the actual financial report of the TTI, because although Korea now plays a less role in terms of sales, but as we will put in more workers, we believe that proportion will look very similar to what it is like in the TTI as a whole. In addition, as we are planning to do a consulting business, we believe there will be about R&D costs that will account for about 5%. And lastly, the profit margin for power tools will be about 30%. Also, we have to look at how much the sales in Korea would account for the total sale of the TTI. We assume that the growth of sales in TTI overall would be about 10% following the pace of this year. And as a result, the sales in the Korean market would account for 1.6% of their total sales. You may think that this number is small, but we also have to look at qualitative results to see the significance of our strategies. First of all,
Can I just clarify one thing? The 30% profit margin, which margin are you referring to? Gross margin or EBIT margin or net margin?
we are referring to the gross profit margin.
So you know that 30% is below our fleet average, right?
Yes, we do know that in the financial report, we realized that the gross profit margin is about 34 or 35%. But as we are planning to move into these new suggestions, we believe that there will be increase in, for example, manufacturing overhead cost that would account for cost of goods sold, so that we initially reduced the margin to 30%, but we believe that as time goes on, the profit margin would increase to the similar level.
Yeah. Why would manufacturing overhead costs go up?
We believe that as we are setting up after service or different parts, we need to send some people from the headquarters to actually make sure that works well. So that would account for manufacturing overhead cost.
Well, then we cannot leverage on the volume of products that we've been building for the Asian market, for the North American market, and the European market. You know, if I understand correctly what you are saying, we have to have specific dedicated manufacturing resources for this part of the market, right?
Yes, but we believe that that is a necessary action to take in more market of the Korean power tool industry.
Okay. And your 30% gross margin is 2019 or by 2019?
Yes, by 2019, but we believe that that will increase eventually.
Okay.
And we have to also look at the qualitative effects of our strategy. First of all, we will be able to establish long-term customer relationships. Our suggested strategy is about having a total customer satisfaction. This means that we could build and enhance the relationships we have with the customers, which would allow us to have customers who are more loyal to our company's products, and it will enable them to buy more of our diverse products. In addition, it will also enhance our strong brand power, which is one of the key advantages we have. As we will be selling more products in the Korean industry, we believe that we will enhance the brand power within the Korean domestic market. Not only that, because as we have mentioned, a lot of Korean companies are doing construction projects abroad. This would give an opportunity for TTI to actually send our products to abroad as well. Lastly, our presenter will talk about the conclusion.
So we wanted to discover the secure market in Asia. And that secure market has to be where customers can afford our products and fit into our products both culturally and economically. And that secure strategy has to be prioritize selling profitable market sector to the profitable product to the profitable market. Therefore, we suggested TTI to go into solidify its market presence in an existing Korean market by focusing on power equipment to industrial customers. And in order to successfully increase the market presence in Korean market, we thought it's very important to carefully understand the context of Korean market and follow our strategies. The strategies such as consulting will enable us to increase the interaction with the customer and continue the relationship. Also, the trial promotion will help reduce the burden of switching costs to the customer, which is just only the start of the later long-term relationship. Also, the increased office size will enable us to provide various related services in a sustainable basis, and also the campaign will help us to communicate and deliver our company message and the brand image to the customers in Korea. So overall, all these strategies will converge into a strategy for TTI that develops a long-term customer relationship according to Korean context and succeed in Korean market. Thank you very much.
Okay, you mentioned that Kenya originally had 70% of the market share. Then with the introduction of Bosch into the market, then it split its market share 35 between the two. Now for TTI, where do we think we can get this market share? Are we getting it from Bosch or are we getting it from Kenya?
We're expecting both. We're not picking one of them as our main competitor because both of them are doing well in the market through different strategies. Kyoung is doing better in the market through after-service system and localization, while Bosch is doing better in the market through strong brand identity of safety and their efficient management system. So by having both of their strong points, TTI could penetrate both of their market share.
And then we said we're going to do the consulting service, right? We provide the consulting service so that we think that we can steal market share from them.
Actually, this point I wanted to bring up, which I thought was interesting, was one of our biggest competitors in Asia is Makita, and as you can see in the in the Korean market, one of the strongest competitors happens to be Japanese, is not very strong in the Korean market, right? Yet brand like Bosch, which is a foreign brand, is relatively strong, meaning the acceptance for foreign brands is there, except maybe Japanese brands not so much. But there are reasons for that, I guess, that date back a number of years. But it just shows that there is, whereas if you look at the market like Japan, it has a high concentration of Japanese brands, but much less foreign brands. So just wanted to mention that. Just out of interest, when you look at a company like Kayang, do you have any idea about how much gross margin they make, how big they are, what segment of the market do they concentrate on? Do you understand their sale channels? Is it primarily industrial? Do they sell consumer DIY?
We couldn't find the gross profit margin for Gayang, but we were able to see how they were performing in the Korean power tool industry. For example, they had been a domestic manufacturer for a long time, and they, in terms of their distribution, they were targeting both the big companies, industrial companies, as well as the small contractors, because it had been in the Korean market for a long time. But in terms of the home tools, such the do-it-yourself, those materials, they weren't having a much portion because itself is not very prevalent in the Korean industry.
I've got a question on you when you go through the selection process. You've filtered 3 countries, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Korea, right? I noticed that the number for Taiwan was way below Hong Kong. I'm just not too sure, is that number correct?
This is only the construction, it's the size of construction industry, and we got it from 3 different sources.
In Hong Kong, there are more expensive construction work, but in terms of the geographic area, Hong Kong is much, much smaller than Taiwan. So I'm just a bit curious on the number.
You did recommend South Korea. How about markets like Hong Kong and Taiwan? Do you recommend we look at those markets as well and go after those markets in parallel, or do you recommend a much more aggressive approach in South Korea because of market size?
We do recommend South Korea as the first priority, also because its domestic construction size is the biggest among Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Korea, but also Korea has more than $600 billion of construction contracts outside of Korea, such as Middle East and Asia. So we believe Korea is the first priority.